So, the latest courtroom drama has really caught our attention. A federal judge just denied the DOJ's bid to unseal the grand jury materials in the Maxwell case.
Yes, it's quite a significant move considering how sensitive these documents are.
Exactly. And, these grand jury materials are, well, meant to stay sealed to protect the integrity of the legal process. The judge's decision reinforces that principle even in this high profile case involving Epstein's network and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Right? It's like the system is built to keep the proceedings confidential in order to safeguard witness protection and avoid potential prejudices.
Absolutely. What really stands out is the dual narrative here. On one hand, there's the need for transparency, and on the other, the fundamental requirement to preserve the grand jury's secrecy.
Yeah, and you notice that the DOJ was really pushing for the unsealing, probably aiming to shed more light on the investigation and perhaps even to fuel political debates.
Definitely. And MSNBC's coverage, like the report by Ken Delanian, along with insights from former federal prosecutor Berit Berger and Ana Cabrera, adds to the public understanding, or sometimes the mystique, of the case. It's a complete media spotlight.
Speaking of media spotlight, isn't it interesting how the hashtags like Nas Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey Epstein keep cropping up through the coverage? It really emphasizes how intertwined law and politics have become.
Oh, for sure. It's like, well, each element of the story opens up a cascade of political implications. I mean, the very act of keeping those documents sealed might be seen as safeguarding a process, yet it also fuels public debate over accountability.
Absolutely, and I wonder, is the DOJ trying to use the prospect of unsealing the documents as a means to push for a narrative that demands more disclosure in high-profile cases?
That's a fair question. Some argue that full disclosure could weed out any shadows and lead to a more transparent government, while others insist that such openness might risk compromising ongoing investigations and the safety of witnesses.
And honestly, isn't it a bit of a double-edged sword? On one hand, we want accountability. On the other, we have to protect the legal process.
Right, exactly. It's like, balancing on a tightrope. And in cases entangled with high-profile figures like Maxwell, any misstep might lead to a cascade of unintended consequences.
I respectfully challenge that a bit. Couldn't a middle ground be achieved, say, by releasing a redacted version of the documents? That way the public gets some transparency without compromising sensitive details?
That's a good point. However, redaction itself is a minefield. Even carefully redacted documents might allow someone to piece together enough information to undermine the secretive nature of the grand jury process. The balance is really delicate.
True. It's like every decision in this matter carries its own weight in potential consequences for both the legal process and public trust.
Exactly. And another angle here is the political dimension. Some commentators are hinting that the judge's decision could be seen as a win for those who insist on the importance of procedural integrity over a rush to transparency, often seen as benefiting certain political interests. It's definitely a partisan minefield.
Yeah, you've got to wonder if the DOJ's persistent push for unsealing was, in part, a tactic to create a narrative favorable for a particular political agenda.
It kind of points to that, doesn't it? There's always that underlying question of who really benefits here. The judge's ruling, while technical, sends a strong message that some processes are not to be compromised, regardless of any external pressures.
Absolutely. And the long-term effect of this ruling might set a precedent in how similar cases are handled in future, especially those with a mix of legal sensitivity and media frenzy.
Yes, and it's fascinating to consider that this decision might influence reforms, or at least prompt discussions among legal experts who advocate for a middle ground between openness and confidentiality.
Indeed.
It's a reminder of how the system continuously evolves.
Exactly. But do you think with so many stakeholders, from the DOJ to media outlets like MSNBC and even public opinion, that we'll see any real changes in how these cases are managed?
I think it's more of an ongoing debate than a clear-cut reform at this stage. It's like trying to adjust a very complex machine where every lever pulled has both intended and unintended effects.
Yeah. And the timing isn't helping either. Every new development, every tweet, every piece of commentary adds another layer to the story.
Exactly. The media coverage itself is part of the narrative. With every update, the case's details become even more intertwined with public perception.
Yep.
And that can sometimes skew how justice is perceived, regardless of the legal rationale behind decisions.
You know, a lot of people were really hoping to see these documents unsealed to, in a way, expose more of what went on. Not just for the sake of transparency, but also, for accountability.
And in that light, the denial definitely sends a mixed signal. It protects the legal process, but can, as you say, also stoke the fire of public suspicion.
I guess it all comes down to weighing the right values. Do we prioritize, say, the pursuit of truth via transparency, or do we adhere strictly to judicial procedures to protect ongoing and future investigations?
Precisely. And it's not a simple choice. It's an intricate dance between legal ethics and public demands. It's like trying to untangle a ball of yarn, pull one thread and others follow in unexpected ways.
And that dance is further complicated by the political climate. When stories have the names of high-profile figures attached, like Maxwell or even Trump, it injects an extra dose of urgency and intrigue.
Absolutely. And media narratives, especially given MSNBC's in-depth analysis, play a huge role in shaping public sentiment. Their coverage, with detailed breakdowns and expert panels, adds nuance to an otherwise binary debate about secrecy versus openness.
True, and I like how they bring in diverse perspectives, legal experts, former prosecutors, and journalists that really highlight the complexities at hand.
Yeah, it's like a symphony of voices all trying to hit the right chord between safeguarding the process and demanding accountability. It's a full-on legal
Right.
and political ballet.
But let me ask you this. Given that the documents remain sealed, do you think we'll ever get, even in part, more clarity on the details of the investigation?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? There's always hope that over time, certain aspects might be cautiously released, especially if they don't jeopardize witnesses. But for now, the court's stance is pretty firm.
And maybe that firmness is exactly what some would argue is necessary to maintain the rule of law, even if it frustrates the public's insatiable demand for transparency.
Exactly. It reminds me of how sometimes the most principled decisions can also be the most contentious, kind of like choosing between two bad options where you have to pick the one that maintains the system's integrity.
Yeah, right. And honestly, while I see the value in protecting the grand jury's confidentiality, I still worry about the potential for this to be used as a shield against genuine investigatory scrutiny in the future.
I hear you, and it's a valid concern. But for now, the immediate priority seems to be preserving the procedural integrity of the investigative process. As tough as it may seem, both sides have their reasons, and that's what makes this such a riveting topic.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that in law, as in life, every decision is layered with complexities that go well beyond surface-level outcomes.
And as we watch this unfold, it's clear that each ruling sends ripples not just through legal circles, but also across political and public arenas.
Exactly.
It will be interesting to see how future cases and public sentiment evolve in response.
No doubt. I guess all we can do is keep our eyes peeled for any new developments and hope that the balance between transparency and procedural integrity is maintained.
Right, it's an evolving story, one that challenges us to question where we stand on issues of accountability, confidentiality, and the dynamics
Yeah,
of power.
indeed.
And in the midst of all this, the role of the courts in interpreting and enforcing these principles remains absolutely critical.
Well, it's been a really engaging conversation, a true reflection of the intricate interplay between law, politics, and media.
I couldn't agree more. Every twist in this saga is a reminder that the path to justice is often layered and complex.
For sure. Thanks for digging into this with such depth. It's discussions like these that make the topic come alive.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep questioning and stay curious about how these legal battles shape our world.
Definitely. Take care out there.